Hello everybody. Today I'm going to talk to you about two poems by Catullus and Horace. I'm going to talk to you about Catullus 2 and Horace's Ode 3.9. I'm going to start with the scansion of these poems, so here's Catullus 2. Paser deliciae meae puellae, qui cum ludere quinsinu tenere, qui primum digitum dara patenti, et a crisole incitare morsus, cum desiderio meo nitenti, carum nescio quid lubet iocari, et solacio lum sui doloris, credutum gravis acquiescat ardor, te cum ludere sicut ipsa possem, et tristis animi levare curas. Here is Horace Ode 3.9. Donec gratus eran tibi, nec quisquam potior, brachia candidae, cervi qui juvenis dabat, per sarum ligui, rege beatior. Donec non alia magis, arsisti nequerat, Lydia post Cloen, multi Lydia nominis, Romana vigui, clarior Ilia, me nunc thressa Chloe regit, dulcis docta modos, et Cytherae sciens, pro qua non metuam mori, si parcent animae, fata superstiti, me torret face mutua, thurini calais, filius orniti, pro quo bis partiar mori, si parcent puero, fata superstiti, quid si prisca redit Venus, diductosque jugo, cogit aeneo, si flavex cutitur Chloe, reiectaeque patet, janua Lydiae, quam sidere pulchrior, illes tu levior, corticet in probo, iracundior hadria, te cum viveramen, te cobeam libens. Now for the translation of these poems. Here's Catullus 2. Small bird, sweetheart of my girl, with whom she is accustomed to play, with whom she is accustomed to hold on her bosom, to whom, attacking, she is accustomed to give her fingertip, and is accustomed to provoke sharp pecks, whenever it is pleasing to my shining desire to play some dear game or other, and a small comfort for her own pain, so that then, I believe, the heavy fire may find rest. If only I were able to play with you, just as she herself, and lighten the sad cares of the spirit. And here is Horace 3.9. As long as I was pleasing to you, and any more powerful young man was not giving arms to the white neck, I flourished, more happy than the king of the Persians. As long as you burned more for no other, and Lydia was not after Chloe, Lydia of much name, I flourished, more famous than Roman Ilia. Now Thracian Chloe rules me, learned in sweet ways and skilled of the lyre, for whom I will not fear to die, if the fates will spare my surviving breath. Calais, son of Ornytus of Thurii, burns me with his mutual torch, for whom I will suffer to die 2 times, if the fates will spare the surviving boy. What if ancient Venus returns and compels the ones having been separated with a bronze yoke, if golden Chloe is driven out, and a door lies open for rejected Lydia? Although he is more beautiful than a star, you are lighter than bark, and more angry than the unprincipled Adriatic Sea. I would love to live with you, and I willing would die with you. In these 2 poems, there are characters who struggle to express and display their love for one another. The narrator in the poem of Catullus II, and both the male and female lovers in Horace 3.9 are faced with a barrier that stands in the way of their love. In Catullus II, the narrator, which is presumably Catullus, uses much of the poem to discuss the passer, which is the sparrow with whom Lesbia is playing. And I read an analysis of Catullus II by Kenneth Quinn, and in his analysis, he writes about Lesbia's leisure time with the sparrow, and he claims that Lesbia's fondness of the bird suggests how simple it is to please her, and despite this simplicity in pleasing Lesbia, the narrator seems to be overwhelmed in his discussion of the sparrow, and I think that the narrator is overthinking what he needs to do in order to become Lesbia's lover. Both the narrator and Lesbia are burdened with sadness, and while Lesbia is satisfied by just a sparrow, the narrator needs Lesbia to be his lover in order for his sadness to be appeased. One of the main reasons that the narrator may be so distressed with his situation with Lesbia is because of her provocative and teasing nature. There are various references to her provocative personality, which is seen in lines 3 through 4, where she teases the sparrow with her finger, and the bird instinctively reaches out back at the finger. Catullus also uses an elision in the 3rd line, where he combines the words dare and appetenti, which enhances the attacking nature of the sparrow, and which is obviously just a reaction to her provocative behavior. Catullus mentions this to seemingly parallel the sentiments of the narrator. While Catullus hints that the narrator feels as though Lesbia does have feelings for him, which is seen in line 5, where it says that Lesbia has a shining desire for the narrator, neither the narrator nor Lesbia make any moves to materializing their potential love. The obstacle that the lovers in Horace 3.9 face is not a love triangle situation like what we see in Catullus II, but rather dealing with each other in a better manner. The structure of this poem is a back and forth argument between the male and female lovers, starting with the male and ending with the female. Both of the lovers want the other to feel unwanted, and they try to evoke jealousy in each other. They do this by talking about other people in their lives that make them happy, and the nature of the woman's words as the man has a stanza and then the woman follows with her own. She always tries to outdo her lover by besting any claims made by the man. For example, when you look at the 3rd and 4th stanzas, the man in the 3rd stanza talks about how he is willing to die for another woman in the 3rd line, which is Chloe, and the woman follows up by saying that she would die twice for Calais. The meter in the last stanza of the poem is also quite notable because of the appearance of multiple elisions, specifically in the very last line of the poem. These notable aspects of the meter in the last stanza occur in harmony with the change in tone of the poem. While this back and forth argument happens in the first 5 stanzas, it is in this last stanza where the woman tries to resolve their argument. Horace connects the words vivere, which means to live, and amem, which means I would love. And this shows how the narrator, which is the female, desires a life full of love with that man, and therefore reconciles with her lover so that this can happen. In the last line, Horace combines the words tecum and obeam, and Teikum means with you, and Obeam means I would die. And this shows how she wants their love to continue until the day that they die. While the two lovers in Horace 3.9 seem to get over their arguments and reconcile their love for each other, Catullus too has an unresolved ending. Much of this poem is about the sparrow and the ideal position it is in to be intimate with Lesbia, but Catullus ends the poem with the narrator's unfulfilled dreams of being the one that can levare curas, which means to lighten the sad cares, or the cares. And Catullus writes this to show how Catullus feels, or the narrator feels unwanted and feels unfulfilled because he does not have the love that he desires. And the overarching theme in both of these poems is that there's a strong struggle that humans undergo for love, and there's often jealousy that arises when love is not there for them. Thanks for listening to the Toddcast, and I hope you enjoyed it. Peace out. Yeah. What am I supposed